Lineage, appearance, class, faction, backstory, playstyle, Dragon Age keep changes, and more. I've played Dragon Age The Veilguard, I've made a character. Here is everything you need to know about the character creation process. Let's go! Let me know what sort of character you're picking in the comments down below. The very first option you make is Lineage, or otherwise known as race. Now, all 4 major races of the Dragon Age universe are once again back for you to pick from. Now, your race choice here will not only affect some of the choices you'll make during the character creation process, but characters will actually reference your race in the game. A small example of this I had was Harding, who is a dwarf, referring to us, as my rook was also a dwarf, when referring to the fact that dwarves can't dream. But in character creation, you'll make a number of other choices as well. For example, if you choose to be an elf, you cannot have beards and you will have a unique ear customization option here. If you choose to play as a canary, you'll have less hair options than the other races, more on that in a little bit, but they also have unique horn customizations. Not only can you change the horns you have, but the colors and the jewel and like the metal types and everything in between. If you choose a human, you're just a standard run-of-the-mill human, you know, we're the most boring race in every fantasy game ever. But the dwarves, however, cannot be a mage. Now, the tooltip here reads that while dwarves cannot use magic, their combat skills are feared throughout Thedas. Once you've picked a race, you'll move on to the appearance customization. Each of the races have about 10 to 15 appearance presets that you can start your customization process from, and then from there you can get into the granular details. Starting with head, there is a triangle head slider here to choose between like how angular or wide your head is. Then you've got the common things like your skin tone, your complexion, etc. You can even go deeper than that triangle head slider and change certain aspects of like your face and shape and everything like individually. Then you've got the body section. Now there's a triangle slider here for like thin, buff, or overweight, and then individual options for certain parts of the body as well. Like my favorite here being the bulge size. You make sure you gotta max that out for sure. Undergarments can be changed as well as your skin tone, and just something to note here while we're looking at these screens, the lighting can also be changed when you view your character's appearance. So this is really beneficial when you're trying to, you know, make certain things, especially colors, look a certain way. You can see how they look in certain lighting situations. For the nose, you've got 9 nose presets and individual sliders that you can change here as well. The mouth, however, has no presets, only sliders that you can slide between, you know, turning the lips up and down, making them fuller or less full, all that good stuff. Ear has 9 presets and sliders. The elf also has unique options here because obviously of their pointy elf ears. Hair is the big one. You've got 88 hairstyles that all look fantastic with like the hair threads and everything and like different textures on certain hairs. They all look really good. Something to note here, the Canary only has 30 hairstyles, but they have the horns and they have 49 horn options. Now, you can change the horn material, so like the color of it, as well as the metal type if there's metal present in your horns. And then if you've got a crystal there, you can also change the type of crystal that's present as well. Now, regardless of these options, obviously you can change the color for your hair, but there's no custom colors here. It's just saturation and brightness that you can change. Facial hair is not available on elves, and there's no unique options for dwarves, but there is 44 different facial styles that you can also change the color of. And then lastly, in hair, you can change the scalp, which is your like height and width, etc. of your overall like head, you know, if you're big brained or little brained, you know.
This is big brain time.
Makeup is next. There are 10 makeup presets, but then individually you can change the eye, the lip, or the blush sections. There are 36 different eye makeup styles. I unfortunately didn't click on it for lips, so I don't know exactly how many there are. That's totally my bad. And there are 11 different blush styles. Next, you'll move on to tattoos, scars, and body paint. Now for tattoos, you'll start with face. There are 36 different face tattoo designs that you can each change the intensity of the individual region as well as the color. And then for body, you've got 22 different tattoo designs that you can change for arms, chest, and legs, as well as the intensity and the color there. Scars, you've got 34 different face scars that you can change the intensity, the color, the discoloration, and the smoothness. And then for the body, you've only got 27 body scar shapes, but they all have those same options as the face for intensity, color, discoloration, and smoothness. And there is also this top surgery option. And then moving on to paint, you have 19 different face paint styles, and for your body, you've got 19 different body paint styles that you can all change the color, the intensity, etc. of them. Something to note here is that Kunari actually have unique helmets that are just like face paints, and you can actually change these in your transmog as well, like at the wardrobe, at the lighthouse. So you may not want to have certain face paint options as a Kunari because you can change them as part of your helmet design. During my preview, I did make a dwarf character that I ended up playing with. This is the character here. If you want to know my thoughts on the actual preview, I will link the other video that go through my overall thoughts on the game here. But after that, you'll move into the hardest decision in my mind, and that's the class. Now, I'll have a video breaking down all the specifics of each of the class's specializations, abilities, and loadouts and everything. But on this screen is where you'll actually pick what class you want to view. Now, you can actually change the outfit previews and get an overview of each of the classes. Starting with the warrior, you will lay waste to enemies with either a sword and shield or a two-handed weapon to send enemies flying. From here, you'll then be able to get a good representation and example of the class's 3 specializations and then some B-roll of those unique skills. For example, here you've got the Reaper that uses necrotic abilities to lifesteal, the Slayer that uses the two-handed weapon for massive physical damage blows and staggering enemies, the Champion, which acts a bit like a tank setup using the sword and shield. The Rogue is the master of movement and reflexes. You'll either be wielding a bow or dual swords here. Now, the 3 specializations are Duelist, which is the dual wielding and deflect master. The Saboteur uses turrets and traps, or the Veil Ranger, which is the ranged bow specialist. And last but not least, you've got the Mage, which rain down fury with spells that incinerate, freeze, electrocute, or crush enemies. Now, one thing to note is that dwarves cannot be mages, but you've got the 3 specializations here being Deathcaller for necrotic spells to lifesteal from enemies, Evoker, which has a lot of spells that manipulate enemies' positions, like pulling them in to like a vortex sort of thing, and then a lot of cold damage spells, or the Spellblade, which is the dagger and orb specialist, basically like a melee mage setup. From here, you'll move on to picking your faction. Now, there are 6 factions to choose from. These impact Rook's backstory, like what they did before joining the Veilguard. An example here is during my preview, I played as the Veil Jumpers. Running into the Veil Jumpers, they knew me and they referred to the events that happened during my backstory. This will also affect your relationship with certain characters in the game as well, like they may like you or dislike you depending on your faction and backstory. It does also change your surname as well as have just like common gameplay elements with 3 different effects. Starting with the Grey Warden, these are an ancient military order sworn to battle Darkspawn and other monsters. The Wardens undergo secret, unbreakable rites that grant them supernatural powers against the dark. You may definitely remember them from Dragon Age Origins. The 3 different buffs that they have here is Bonded in Blood to increase the reputation with Grey Wardens more quickly, Blight Killer to deal additional damage to Darkspawn, and Vigilant Training for base defense and health are slightly increased. The Veil Jumpers are a daring group of explorers that explore ancient elven ruins in the Arlathan forest. Although founded by elves, they welcome anyone brave enough to face Arlathan's reality warping magic. As a Veil Jumper, your reputation will increase more quickly with Veil Jumpers. You have attuned strikes to deal increased damage to Fade Touches, and Keen Eye to deal slightly increased critical and weak point damage. As a Shadow Dragon, this underground resistance opposes corrupt rulers and slavery in Tevinter. Coming from all walks of life, they are determined to bring justice to the people. Your reputation will increase faster with the Shadow Dragons, Never to Rise to deal increased damage versus Venatori, and Resourceful, your class-specific resource regenerates slightly faster. The Lords of the Fortune. Now, this is an informal collection of explorers, hunters, treasure seekers from Rivain. The rowdy lords are famed for both daring exploits and narrow escapes, together in glory to gain reputation with the Lords of the Fallen more quickly, healthy competition to deal increased damage versus mercenaries, and relentless to perform takedowns on enemies with slightly less effort. The Morn Watch. As a Morn Watcher, this elite necromantic order explores the mysteries of life and death and tends to the undead in Navari's sprawling grand necropolis. As recognized name, you gain reputation faster with the Morn Watchers. Return to the grave to deal increased damage to undead and demons, and acute afflictions. You can apply additional affliction stack on targets. The Antivan Crows, potentially my favorite. These are like basically the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Love them when I interacted with them in the preview. Swift Knives in the dark. The Crows are ruthless assassins, both respected and feared as Antiva's shadowy protectors. Under their wing, you gain reputation with the Crows faster. Open Contract to deal increased damage versus Antame, and Hidden Pouch to hold an additional potion. When you've selected a faction, you'll hit the continue screen and read the background synopsis for that faction. This will detail like Rook's past with that specific faction. It does also seem that the gameplay effects lean towards certain classes, like for example the Great Warden having increased base defense and health would definitely be better for a warrior, or the Veil Jumpers increased critical and weak point damage would be best for a rogue. The next option you pick is Playstyle. Now this is the difficulty of the game, and there are 6 options to choose from here. Adventure being like the normal difficulty that changes all these different settings. You've got incoming damage, which is how much damage you receive. Enemy aggression, how often they will like do their attacks and attack you. Tactical challenge, I don't know exactly what this refers to. My guess is like unique boss mechanics and how hard or regularly they occur, as when you do fight bosses, they will have unique mechanics you'll need to do to get past that encounter. Defend timing is your deflect window. Now, the lowest difficulty here is Storyteller, which is essentially everything on easy as possible, or Nightmare, which is everything maxed out as hard as possible. The 6th option is Unbound, which is custom difficulty settings. Here you can change more than those 4 settings that we just mentioned. An example here being exploration or wayfinding help, so whether objectives or traversal markers are shown and how far away they're shown. You also got aim assist or aim snap combat options, and then more granular combat options and settings here like enemy health and aggression, damage, etc. On the final screen, you have an option to change the past adventures from Dragon Age that will impact the events of Veilguard. This is like the new Dragon Age keep. We're not able to show you the screens or any of the specific options you can change. However, what I can tell you is that you can customize your Inquisitor from Dragon Age Inquisition only. And while we didn't get to see the outcomes or anything related to what these customizations will affect in our play session, no doubt they will have an effect on the world, right? Like especially with how closely this game is tied to Dragon Age Inquisition and the past events with Solus and the Inquisitor. I did also ask Corinne Bush, the game director, about specific choices and why they made these decisions with Dragon Age Keep, but unfortunately I can't share those thoughts until closer to launch. Now on the Finalize screen, you'll choose your first name, your last name, which is defined by your faction, your voice and its pitch, and then you're basically ready to go. That's the entire character creation process in Dragon Age Veilguard. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you like this system? Do you don't like it? What are your thoughts? I'd love to know. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is NorZZa, and I hope you have a great day.